Hello everybody and welcome back. We're back at Sanford Dam. You can see it over my shoulder in the background here. Gonna be a quick little update, but before I get this video started, I want to thank my new patrons, Kevin, Scott, and Lynn, and for people that have been sending me letters through the mail. So a huge thanks to Randy and Kim, and to everyone else for their support. You know, there's been a couple people that have actually bought me some drinks. There's a link in the description down below if you want to buy me a drink or, buy me a tank of gas. So another way to go ahead and support the channel. Let me go ahead now and get this camera turned around and we'll take a look at Sanford Dam though. As you can see, it is snowing once again. I also want to thank the person that sent me an umbrella. I might be getting that out pretty soon if it starts switching to more of a sleet and rain, but so far looks like it's staying a pretty solid snow, so not too bad. You can see the equipment staged over here behind Sanford Dam. I do want to mention though that we almost have enough money to get a live camera set up on Secord Dam, so about $700 left to go there. And yeah, this live camera on this dam has been awesome, being able to watch the work that has been going on here. And here we can see the water flowing underneath the temporary bridge that has been lifted up quite a bit in the past few weeks. You know, it's springtime here in Michigan and the weather is really unpredictable, so got to raise that up, let the flow pass. There's been a little bit of flooding over here behind the sill, but so far it sounds like the work schedule is right on track, so it hasn't caused any delays from the construction standpoint yet. Might be able to see this tree laying down here along the bank too. This water flowing underneath the bridge is getting directed right over here at this bank, so it's causing quite a bit of erosion. You'll see up here to the south as well. There was quite a few trees in this area that have been washed down the river. You'll be able to see that from the drone in a little while. But yeah, I think now's probably a good time. Got a goose coming over here right now. Looks like he's looking for a spot to land. But as I was saying, let's head on over to the construction site now. Maybe I'll throw the drone up in the air and we'll give you some of those aerial views. And then we will take a closer look at the work that is going on right underneath those spillways there. Jumping into the drone video now, I am flying towards the east at about 100 foot in altitude, coming right up on the temporary bridge right here in the center of the screen. Sanford Falls over there on the left-hand side of the screen, and all that water flowing down the Tittabawassee River to the south. We have Sanford Dam right in the center of the screen now. And I do want to mention, if anyone is interested in the equipment that I'm using, check out the Amazon affiliate links in the description down below. If you go ahead and click those, it'll redirect you to Amazon. You can actually check out the equipment that I use. And if you by chance happen to purchase anything from Amazon within those 24 hours of clicking that link, they kick a small portion of the proceeds back to the channel. So another way to help out the channel. Now we're going to go ahead and drop in altitude even further. Come right up here in front of the dam, and you might be able to see what they're working on right now. So just power washing out, cleaning out underneath those spillways a little bit more. And when I'm actually there filming on site in a little while, you'll be able to see what is inside of these spillways. Not many people have actually stood and looked up inside these spillways, so I'm sure that's what a lot of people clicked on this video, hoping to see a first-hand look as to what inside of those spillways look like. But yeah, a lot of work has been done to clean these up. We've had quite a bit of waterfall events over the last couple weeks that have flooded this area behind the sill a couple times, but the crew from Fisher Contracting is doing some really great work trying to get this area cleaned back up so that they're able to pour the floor of the new concrete weir spillways. More on that a little while later on in the video. I'll detail all the work that will be happening here at the Sanford Dam. I'm going to go back over here, check out the temporary bridge. The last time I was out here, this area was completely flooded and there was a lot of water flowing underneath this temporary bridge. A lot of this riprap we weren't even able to see. So a lot of these rapids formed right here underneath the bridge are from this D50 shoreline protection, the large riprap that we can see on each side of the banks here, so that is really protecting these piles from being washed away and having any erosion happening around the temporary bridge. Now we're looking back to the east, back over here at the Sanford Park area where I was just filming the intro. You can see that tree that has fallen down, a little bit of this bank that keeps eroding more and more. And I'm going to turn the camera on a little while. We'll keep flying down further to the south and check on where the rest of the trees got washed up to. So I did say that there were a couple more trees. If you've been watching the live camera over here in the park area, you may have noticed over the last couple weeks a few trees falling here and there when we did have a lot of that high water volume passing through this area during the flood time frame. So down here, Saginaw Road is the road back here in the background. Snow is really coming down at this time of me flying the drone, but you can see a couple of these trees down here to the south in the Tittabawassee River. I'm over here on the site walking down now. See the temporary bridge right here in the center of the screen. Sanford Dam back there in the background. We'll keep walking down here a little bit further, but I want to say if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're almost to 33,000 subscribers, so appreciate everyone that has been doing that, as well as hitting the like button and commenting any questions or just comments down below. You can see a little bit more of the job site. All these trees were cleaned up a little bit earlier this year. And this is where the water was actually flowing through this low spot right here when we had that flooding about a month ago now. You can see where that water comes right from Sanford Falls. So Sanford Falls is kind of this area that starts here and goes all the way down here to the area behind the dam. So that water kind of just shoots straight across there, comes across this low spot and goes that direction. So if this, I guess the breach channel here had to pass all of the water that was flowing through this direction, that would have been a lot and actually would have probably created more erosion had they filled this in and forced all that water through there. So it's actually probably a good idea to let this go through here. And you know, this only took a couple hours, not even, to refill in this with some larger riprap and some crushed limestone. See a little bit of the gravel down there. Last time this happened, they actually bulldozed a little bit of that gravel back here in front of the temporary bridge. So keep walking up here. I'll show you guys the temporary bridge. Now that we're actually on site though, I'm gonna stop walking and talking just to be safe. You know, I got my all my PPE on, so safety is of the utmost importance when I'm out here on site. Looks like the lift bridge was still working good though. They lift this up every now and then when they have high waterfall events. Take a look up here to the north. You can see the water coming over Sanford Falls. And now over here to the south. Water is flowing pretty good. So that's the water that's coming here in front of the dam. It did end up washing out a few trees here in the park. You can see that one that's laying across there. A little bit of erosion that's happened along the side of there. I'm sure when the park is redone, they'll be installing some riprap along that side. And it actually won't need to be worried about once the water is redirected through Sanford Dam. That water will be coming straight down through here, not being forced at a 90-degree angle over there into the bank where the boat launch is. All right, let's head on over to the site now and see what they're working on right now. All right, we're now down here right in front of the dam. You can actually see underneath here now, you know, all this was filled up with water just this weekend, so all that's been pumped out of there now. You can see they've went ahead and put the Schedule 80 6-inch pipe in where the weep holes are going. And they're supposed to be out here again Friday to actually pour the floor of the new Weir spillways. So it looks like things are right on schedule. You can see that pass-through area here where the water used to be allowed to come through the dam when they were constructing this. And some more of the floor of the spillway over here. This guy up here on the lift is just working on coring through so that when they go ahead and bring in that, pump that concrete in to pour the floors, they can bring in that boom and pour it right through the middle of those spillways. Jumping back to the drone real quick, I'm going to go from about 150 to 200 feet in altitude all the way up to 400 feet in altitude to see what the job site looks from way up here. And then we will jump back to the in-person, me filming, and you'll be able to see what is underneath Sanford Dam. So up here at 400 feet in altitude, you can see there's a lot more snow coming down. All right, now we're down here under spillway 1 or 6. You see where the weep holes have been tied into the 6-inch Schedule 80 pipe. All the rebar is here. Guys are going to be here later this week, tying in the rest of the rebar for the floor that's going to be in here. After they get this floor poured, then they can go and start pouring the weir spillway up underneath here. After that weir spillway is complete, then the top can be removed. You can see a little bit of that catwalk where it used to go right through the middle here. So that spanned so that people were able to get here on the interior of the spillways and inspect them. Pretty interesting seeing the interior here. Not many people have probably stood on the inside of the dam. Right over here on the other side, there's actually quite a bit of water on the back side of Sanford Dam. Not that you can really tell from standing down here, things are pretty dry. I know there's a few comments that people were wondering, well, why is this got to be so clean and power washed down here on the floor before they go ahead and pour that concrete? To get that good bonding though, you can't just pour concrete on top of the silt. So that's why everything's getting power washed, cleaned up nicely. And then over here on the other side, this is the sill. So they poured this up a little bit higher to keep the water that's on the other side of the dam from coming over here, that they can create a little bit of a work area here now. And over here on the other side, so again, sills over here on this side, the other hollowed out spillways, rollways are here. You can see the work that's going on. It's doing a little bit more of that power washing. You can see the difference between where it's nice and clean here, and then there's a little bit of that muck and silt down there. Hopefully we get a little bit of a break in the weather. You can see it's actually snowing here. Right now it was 32 degrees this morning. I think it's around 35, 37 right now. So it's getting a little bit warmer this week. On Sunday it's actually supposed to be 70 degrees. So about time the weather starts warming up a little bit more and get a little bit of a break in the weather so that they can get ahead and get some of this work done that they've been waiting on. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead, head back up to the top side, maybe show you guys a little bit more of the earthen embankment, explain the rest of the work that's going to be happening here. And I'm gonna share the diagrams and details, the engineering diagrams and details at the end of the video as always. Jumping back to the drone video now, we are behind Sanford Dam. So you can see the spillways over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to fly down the Tittabawassee River over the Sanford Falls in a little while here. Now facing towards the west, probably about 50 feet in altitude. And the Sanford Lake Park is in the background at the top of the screen. That used to be the old boat launch way back there in the background to enter Sanford Lake. Now we're going over the top of Sanford Falls. You can see the hard pan, the clay underneath this. So that's keeping things from not eroding too much in this area. Clay is our bedrock here, so it's not going to go down too much further than it currently is. Of course, if you left this like this for a couple of years, it would keep continuously eroding more and more. Water is very powerful. And now we're over here back at the temporary bridge, looking at it from the opposite side that I was just on. You can check out a little bit more of that riprap. This looks like some MDOT heavy riprap on this side. And looks like they got a compactor roller over here in the background working on the roadway a little bit more. We'll zoom back over here to Sanford Dam, take a little bit of a closer look. I know there's been a lot of people that have really enjoyed my other YouTube channel though, the Mowbray family channel. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you follow the link in the description down below and check that out. We're working on building our dream home right now. A lot of dirt moving happening. Building a 25 feet deep pond, so that's pretty cool. It's really hard to picture how deep 25 feet actually is until you're standing in the bottom and looking up. Now we can see the drone's perspective in front of the dam, looking underneath the spillways. Back up here at the earthen embankment, this is to the north. So this is where that earthen embankment used to span across here. all the way over to there, to that side. So what they're working on doing right now is main priority is getting this dam complete. The new weir spillways poured and set up underneath the hollow spillways here at Sanford Dam. Once that work is complete, they can go ahead, use the breaker and remove the top rollways off the top of this dam. That will allow the water to start flowing back over the top of the dam again and going to the south down the Tittabawassee River. So once that water is redirected, they can go fill back in the breachway over here. So the breachway, where Sanford Falls and the Tittabawassee River is flowing through underneath the temporary bridge right now, can then be filled in. They can then start installing the eye wall. So we'll have a steel sheet pile cutoff wall that comes right through here and goes directly across where the earthen embankment spans. And then all that water will be forced to go through the dam. Then a little bit more restoration work, final grading to get the earthen embankment looking nice, and that will pretty much be the end of the interim repairs. So right now, this is not the construction period of rebuilding this dam. This work that's happening is all about stabilization. Stabilizing the river path, stopping erosion from happening. And this is because a lot of the money right now is actually coming from the NRCS, so Natural Resources Conservation Service. And this work has to be complete anyways. So it's stabilizing as well as being incorporated into the final design of when these dams are reconstructed. So that's a little bit of the details of the work that will be happening here over the next couple months. And yeah, so far they are still right on schedule, even with dealing with the flooding that has been happening over there on the backside of the sill. So again, some great work, great job being done here. And hopefully I'll be out here in another week or two. We'll be able to see that bottom probably poured, where they're going to be installing and pouring the new weir spillways. Always exciting being out here on site and being able to bring you guys along with me to share what is going on here. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit the thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave any questions and comments you have down below. And until the next one, I'll see you then, but stay tuned for the engineering diagrams and details. Before we jump into the engineering diagrams and details, I'm going to just share with you guys the last few clips from the drone. We're up here at 400 feet in altitude facing to the north. I'm going to just zoom around to the backside of the dam, right over the top of the Sanford lake bed. So this brown area over here on the left hand side of the screen is the old lake bed. I'm going to answer a few questions though while we're flying the drone around, because I know there's a couple of commonly asked questions. The first one being, will the lakes be refilled? And the answer to that question is, that is the plan. So all of these lakes will have new gates installed above the spillways. When the construction is complete, the gates will be lowered, or in the case of crest gates, they will be raised, and the lakes will be allowed to refill once again. Timing of how long the lakes will take to refill is very dependent on weather. If we have a winter that we have a ton of snowfall, a high runoff spring event, then the lakes could potentially be filled in one season. This will have to be managed with the dams. You know, you can't completely seal off this river and allow the entire area downstream of here to go dry. That would kill a lot of wildlife, a lot of fish would die in the process, as well as there's other areas downstream that require this water to function. So that will be interesting when we get to that point in the next couple of years. The next question that I hear most often is, why are they redirecting the water flow back through these dams when they still need to do construction on them? So it seems kind of pointless that you should be actually doing the work while the water is not flowing over the tops of the dams. And the main reason, I just said it in the on-site portion of the video, is the work that is going on right now is about this interim repairs, interim stabilization to keep erosion from happening. So to keep that from happening, the water needs to be redirected over the dams. In this drone shot here, you can see the pass-through right here in the center of that spillway. So that's where the water used to be allowed to flow through that area when they were first initially constructing Sanford Dam. All right, jumping back over here to the front side of the spillways, you can see underneath these a little bit more, that Schedule 80 pipe coming up from the wheat poles. And I'm going to fly the drone over here. We're going to take a look underneath Spillway 5 and take a little bit closer look at the pass-throughs. These always really interest me. I guess it's just part of the history as to, how these dams were initially constructed about 100 years ago. So now over here underneath Spillway 5, we can see that this is where they're pumping a lot of the water out. Must be the lowest lying area behind the sill. And yeah, that pass-through is back there in the background. That's where that water used to be allowed to flow through here if that area was opened up. So jumping back to a few more updates, I will be traveling back up to Secord and Smallwood Dam very soon to film some updates up there. I know there's always people interested as to what's going on up there, and they think that there's no work going on their dams. That is not the case, though. All the other dams have the interim stabilization complete at this point, so Sanford Dam is the last dam undergoing stabilization. After that point, then construction will begin in the next couple of years. But so far right now, up on Secord and Smallwood Dam, it might not look like there is a lot going on. Physically, there's not equipment there. There is not dirt moving happening, no work actually physically happening on the dam. There is a lot of engineering and studies being done, though. All of this needs to be complete before these dams are rebuilt and the lakes allowed to refill. So getting that done now is just going to speed up the process later on. I'm climbing with the drone a little bit in altitude, just kind of peeking through where the old Tanner gates used to be. You can kind of see a little bit of the water level over here behind the dam. As for the estimated lake return dates, on all of these lakes, I'll go through the dates. So Secord Dam is estimated to return in 2024. Smallwood Dam also in 2024. Sanford Dam in 2025. And Edenville Dam in 2026. So that will be Secord and Smallwood lakes will be refilled first in 2024, a whole year ahead of Sanford Dam. Those are the northernmost lakes, so it makes sense that they would want to get those done first. And then Sanford Dam will be the next one to return in 2025. And Wixom Lake will take a little bit longer, 2026. That is because there's actually two dams located up there on Wixom Lake that will need to be reconstructed. Back here on the drone now, I'm just flying over the top of the earthen embankment. You can kind of see where this used to conjoin right through this breach area here, directly over where I'm flying in the Tittabawassee River, flowing through this area now at this point. I'll keep flying over this direction to the west, about 50 feet in altitude right now, and we'll check out the other materials that they have staged over here on the west side of the Tittabawassee River and the west side of the lake bed. So this area used to be the Sanford Lake Park over here on the right hand side of the screen. That used to be the old boat launch, and this used to be an old parking lot. This is where much of the equipment is staged, as well as the raw materials. See the off-road dump trucks, front loader, and a forklift down there, and some dumpsters. Looks like these are the old docks that used to be at the boat launch over here on the right hand side that were pulled out after Sanford Lake was drained, and then a ton of rebar. So this is all the rebar that will be tying in this week and hopefully be poured in on Friday. So that will actually be complete by the time I post this video. So if you've been watching the Sanford Dam live camera closely, you've probably seen that work already done. So this looks like MDOT heavy riprap over here on the right hand side, and this looks like a little bit larger of that D50 shoreline protection. Kind of looks like a mix between MDOT heavy and D50 though. Usually the D50s are a little bit larger. Looks like they have a little bit of crushed limestone or gravel in this area as well that they've reused from other sites or from this site. And over there on the right was the old winch frames that were removed off of the dam. All right, let's jump into these engineering diagrams and details now.
We don't have pictures on Sanford, but if you can imagine, we're doing the same thing. It took us an extra 3 months, given some of this floodplain issues we're going to talk about, to get it permitted. So we're a little bit behind schedule, but we feel like this will be done by the end of summer. It's essentially the same model. We're going to remove the spillways, get a position for the new spill gates, and run an embankment on the west side of the dam to basically bring the water back in if it's needed to work through. We've had two kind of questions. If you're in Secord and Sanford, or Secord and Smallwood, you're asking, why isn't there being work on my dam? And the answer is we've already done the stabilization and there is work being done. It's primarily engineering work. In these dams, we've been doing the engineering and working on the stabilization of these, as you can see, much bigger projects. And we needed to get the spillway capacity set on the upper two dams before we could work on Edenville and Sanford. So we did the 30% engineering, but now we're staffing up engineering for those projects as well.
What this project really is if you combine what we're doing on the Tittabawassee side with the breach channel with what we're doing on the Tobacco spillway, it's kind of that merger of this project. So starting on the left side of this page or right looking downstream, we do need to close off the existing breach channel and push flow back through the primary spillway. So what we're planning to do at the spillway structure itself is we are going to remove the upper portions of the barrel arch, which is the upstream portion of the spillway, and the downstream rollway. And we're going to be putting in a new mass concrete weir across all 6 spillway bays. So we'll be taking the gates out, lowering the sill elevation or the invert elevation to regulate or restore kind of the current base level elevation in Sanford Lake and push that water through the former spillway footprint. And then while we're doing that, we are going to be having a very similar design in terms of the embankment. It's going to be that steel sheet pile along with the eye wall, which would be rock fill on both sides. In addition to that work, we have quite a bit of cleanup that has to be performed. The breach demolished the auxiliary spillway that was in place, moved around a lot of material that was the former embankments, and just a lot of debris that needs to be cleaned up and removed off site. In addition to that work, we are going to restore some of the erosion on the shoreline immediately downstream of the spillway, and then also be removing some of the sediment that is accumulated immediately downstream of the dam. So we are in the permit and design process with this. We're working with Eagle right now to get a permit to get our contractor on site to start doing this site cleanup before they start working on the spillway. So we're hopeful that we'll be out there here this fall, and that work would go through early spring of next year.
Yeah, one of the challenges, I think it's complicated too in terms of the construction to get access to these dams. So yeah, as we see this, so there's actually, I think you can see it in the drawing, but I think it's covered by the label. To be able to get across and access this, we're putting a temporary bridge in. And so that requires a fair amount of, just to do the construction across it. So that's been kind of tying us up a little bit to get all that done. And so it's not that we don't want to start. It's like we got to get all this thing done and done safely and working through that. But we're pretty close now and would expect to start hopefully in the next several weeks and get this moving as well. And then we have the wrong slide next is what we're going to condition. So I think we put Ron, I think we have another, that says Sanford restoration, but as we looked at it, I think it's the Edenville restoration. So we labeled the wrong one on it. So so you can look at it twice, but it looks the same. But we'll get it out on the website in the next day or so correctly. Sanford, I think the difference is on the timeline in Sanford, it has the same kind of structure, but it does the construction cycle is smaller. And so we think we can get that done 1 year earlier and to work on. So I don't want to go through that because as we looked at it, all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, we got this one labeled wrong. So we'll get that cleaned up a little bit. Apologize for that. So let's move forward on that. We'll get the right one on there to work through. The one though, so that's kind of where we are. Like I said, we'll get those out there. We'll start to measure the aspects of it to work through. And how fast we go on this restoration again is a big function of how we look at the financing. The finance isn't going to bring the construction timelines much earlier, but it certainly de-risks the projects, makes it more affordable, and simplifies what we're doing. But I wouldn't say just takes less complexity out of it. Still remains a complex project.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below. As always, I just want to give a massive thanks to the people who support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of your contribution to keeping this channel going. Thank you.